With that, I'm going to hand it over to Robert Huckabee. Robert Huckabee is our Associate Director and Director of Compliance here at TAPPS, and he's going to take it from there.
Thank you, John. Welcome again to everyone for being here. If you have people at your school who couldn't attend, like John mentioned, we'll be recording all this, and you'll be able to go back and view that as a tutorial. We have with us today, we're honored to have Doyle Heisler with us. He's the CEO of I Wanna Maker. I Wanna Maker has been around for many years. They've created the TAPPS Golf app for us. We've used it very successfully the last couple of years. Our schools have really enjoyed working with Doyle and his team, working through the ability to have live scoring, to have our tournaments scored in real time, and then having those results available to us at the district, regional, and state level. I know many of you have used it the last couple of years and are using it now, and you're going to many, many tournaments that have this as the standard for now, how they're doing not only the live scoring, but the results that are posted in real time. So Doyle and his group have created a newer version of the golf app that if you've logged on this year, if you've started some tournaments and starting putting your golfers in, you've seen that it looks a little different. Doyle's going to walk us through a little tutorial here this afternoon of what it is. A lot of the things are still identical. Some are better, but the face of it looks different, and where you go and find things and navigate the app is something that Doyle's going to walk us through. So with that, Doyle, I'll turn it over to you, and we'll be monitoring questions like John mentioned, and Doyle, I'll pop those out toward the end as we navigate. So Doyle, welcome.
All right, thank you, Robert, and thank you, John. Welcome, coaches, to this is going to be the second year where we're supporting you, offering the app, as Robert said, and the I Wanna Maker platform. And most importantly is please remember, we are here to support this app for you, right? So we want to make you successful. So please don't feel like if you need to reach out to us, even without having to log in, you can click on this help right here, and you've got a host of documents that you can help. Contact us first and foremost. You can email us or call us. You got helpful documents right here, and you got videos. Some of the videos are still being updated from version 2 to version 3. So just be patient. We'll continue to get those updated. So what are we? Well, we have the iwannamaker.com website, right? Which is if for those of you who don't know what we do is there's high school is our main focus. High school, and by the way, 30 states now are using us. About 75% of all of high school golf is using the I Wanna Maker platform. So it's made up of like I said, events, golfers, leagues. Leagues are like you, TAPPS. You're sitting right here. Rankings and support. Okay. So that's that. So what else? Well, we have connected apps. We created an app just for you. Okay. And so you can either get it in the Apple App Store on your phone. That's where we recommend you start if you don't have it already. And if you had it in version 2, your login still works. All right. So just sign in with your same login with your same credentials, and you're going to be good to go. This is the app on Google Play. So it's both there on Google Play and on Apple. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to spend most of my time on the website. So if you have an account, just go to the web and just log in. It's as simple as that. Once you log in, you're going to land on a page a little bit different than what I'm on here, because what happens is we know that you're a coach for a specific school, so you're going to land on your school's homepage. If you don't, you can always go up and you can make it a favorite. And here's how you would do that. So you can see that you can get to events, golfers, rankings, all this sort of thing. So I go on leagues, I go down and I find TAPPS Golf right here, and now I'm at the high level. This is sort of like the what we call the league view. All events across the entire league are here, and so the past too. So you can see that there was 234 events last year that teams played in. And now that's going to continue to build, right? So then how would I, if I was a coach, you might end up landing on one of these schools here, and let's just pick the top one here. So if I'm a coach at Abilene Christian School, I'm going to land right here. Okay. Now, if I didn't, then I could star it. I could make it a favorite. And then I could also make the TAPPS. This is a huge feature that everyone's been asking for. So now I have these two as favorites. And so if I happen to navigate off to an event and I want to get back, I can just click here and go to the bottom of my list, and I can get to Abilene Christian School. Or I can go to the bottom of the list, or I can go here and I can go to TAPPS, right? You can have all kinds of favorites. An example of that would be you get towards the end of the season and you just want to pop between different district tournaments or different state tournaments. Add them to your favorites. How do you remove one? Just come back to that same entity and just click this, and that'll remove it. That's how you can remove and add favorites, okay? And so those should be managed by you throughout the season. We highly recommend you keep TAPPS as one of your favorites and your school as one of your favorites, okay? So what else has changed? Well, let me go, and if I click on the I Want to Maker logo, that takes me up to the top level, because you got to think of I Want to Maker as, like I like to call it, the mothership. That it is overarching all of the high school leagues in I Want to Maker. And at this top level, you see events like right now, today, there are 20 events across the entire league. That's the whole United States. And so you might find that number is going to be in the hundreds when we get into the season. And so then this week here, and then here are the number of golfers, here are the rankings. The big thing that we added that is very exciting is national rankings. So to make sure that your golfers get the recognition they deserve as a high school golfer across the entire nation, you want to make sure you get your golfers on a roster, create the events, score the events, and close out the round. It's that simple. College coaches will then be able to find your kiddos if they're looking to recruit a golfer to play golf at their college, or just if that golfer wants to see where they stand nationwide against 22,870. That number is going to grow to probably 50, 60,000 this year for boys. And then you can flip to girls and all that sort of thing. So just a little bit about the high level. Now, does this exist at TAPPS level? Absolutely. Right. So now if I go back to I Want to Maker and I click on leagues, you notice how I have this navigation. I can make this stick too. So I can click on this menu item up here and make that stay. Okay. So now I want to go to leagues, and I want to work my way back into TAPPS. Now I could have used the favorites too, right? So I decided to go a different way, just so you know how that works. So if I get here, I'm seeing the events across the, and now remember, you're going to see events that might be created by a coach from the Texas high school, the public side, right? Because you can add teams to, if you're a TAPPS coach and you create an event, you can add teams from the public side. You can even add teams from Oklahoma or whatever state that's using us, okay? So that's how it works. You can cross the border, whatever you want to do, you can always get to. And if there's a team that's not in here, you email support and we'll get them added. Okay. So these are the events at the state level. These are the schools that we add. If your school's not in here, and please search every which way to try and find out, to make sure. And if you're not there, let us know. We believe we have everyone, because Robert had sent us the list, and so we added all the schools last year. Golfers, these are the total number of golfers across the entire, these are all the golfers in the state, in TAPPS right now. And then you've got members. The members show the executives, the league administrators, the school administrators. And by the way, all these people have free access to the system. The league executives, that's like Robert and his team. The league administrators, those are people who can access events and administer any event, right? They're the gurus. They're the people that Robert and I and our team has christened as person that can really help out. So they have a little more privileges than what a coach would have. A coach has privileges over his school and his events, or her school and her events, whereas a league administrator can help others. So they have access to all of those, all the schools and all the rosters. Then you've got school administrators, could be a athletic secretary, an athletic director, whoever it is. Tell them to go get the TAPPS app and get registered under their school, because that means that they can access the events for free and the rankings. So, and then coaches will go get the app. They have free access as well as golfers, as well as media. When we get requests from media, then we add that media member into, you got a PGA member interested in the TAPPS League. So Robert, I'm not sure if you guys have a list of media that we could just come and we could just send an email to them and say, and I have a script that we could send them to say, here's what you need to do as a media member to have access. And this is important because a coach then doesn't have to report scores to the media anymore, because the media has access. All the coach has to do is run their event. And when the event is done, the media can access it and they can add it to, in their outlet, whatever that outlet might be, news, print, whatever it might be. Okay, so we want to probably get this populated this year. Other states have a host of media members that come in and add the color, if you will, to the events that these great coaches are creating and running. And then you've got rosters across the entire league. Now, I see the entire league because I'm a site administrator. Not all coaches see this. You as a coach will see it under your school, okay? And then the rankings are specific to just the TAPPS teams, right? So we filter out all the other teams in the state, and now this is just the golfers and the teams in the state. I keep saying state because most other TAPPS is very unique in that you guys are an entity within the state of Texas. So these are all the teams and the players that are part of the TAPPS organization. Okay, so you can see that we've got teams here. But and if I go back, this is these coaches, and they're playing already, right? So if we go back to last year, we got 111 teams that were ranked last year. You want to make sure that every team is ranked. Most importantly, your team, right? And what do you have to do to make that happen? Use the system as designed, right? And everything's going to work out. So if I want to show players from last season, I can see that Ellie from the boys, Walker Campbell was the number one player. Now, or Eli, I'm sorry, was the number one player last year. So now you have the ability to come in here and look at boys, girls, but you can see there's 837 right here ranked boys. And then you can flip over to girls and you can see there's 492. Maybe there was more. Maybe some didn't get an opportunity. That's your job as a coach, is to give them that opportunity to be here, right? To be on a leaderboard and to be here and be ranked. Okay, so that is at a high level on how everything is laid out, how it is built. And I took you down to the school level, right? If I drill into a school, now I'm filtering out all the other events in TAPPS, and I'm only seeing events that my team was involved in. And I can see here, Abilene Christian did not have any regular season events because they basically went into the districts and the girls. So give your kids an opportunity to experience this wonderful exposure as golfers and start creating your events in here, right? And then the kids score it, you close it, and then you start to have all these events that will build over time, and then you'll have a history of all your events online and easy to access by everyone. Okay, so that is a little bit about the navigation part of it, right? So if I go back up right here, I can navigate up to the Texas Association of Private and Parochial Schools. So now I've kind of gone over all the new and fun ways to navigate the system. Okay, and so now the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to actually jump into an event, and we're going to take a look at how and what's different about managing an event. Well, first of all, let's go through a quick create event, right? I'm not actually going to create one, but if you wanted to create an event, you click on create event, you get started. And by the way, you'd want to do this under your school, right? Because that way it's going to be automatically tied to your school. So let's get started. And you pick your format. We have lots of different formats. So most of the time you're going to be doing team stroke play. Okay, so I can cancel that because I'm not going to change that. Pick your date and time. Do your time zone. Because I'm in Denver, I mean, I'm in Mountain, it's going to put that as default. And then we're going to have, choose the gender, boys or girls, practice, regular season. Let's say I was going to do a regular season event, and it's going to be a varsity event. Now I'm going to select my courses. I never did that last time, right? In version 2, now we're asking you to pick the venue. If the venue's not there, then click here and you'll send an email to ask us to add that particular course. If you went in and you found a club and / course and you made it a favorite, it's going to show up down here. It's going to make it easier than to add that to any event during the season. And all you have to do now here's the big thing. There was in the other version, in version 2, there was buttons all over the place. That's not what modern web design is doing right now. As you experience more modern websites, they don't have buttons all over the place. They're typically using the ellipse, the more options, right? And so now I can add this to the event. I can choose a default T, but I'm just going to add it to the event. And now I have taken care of that part. So now I've added it to the event. If I want to edit that, again, look for the dots, look for the ellipse or the more options button, right? Always to the right. It'll always be that same thing. And so once I get done with my course, I'm going to go to my participants. And now here, I would select my home team. And then I would import. Then I would go to my visitors and I would pick the teams that I'm hosting. Okay. You can use your filters here to be able to filter and that sort of thing. You can have boys teams and girls teams in a single event. We are working on because if I start off and say it's a boys event, I can add girls. And so we're working on maybe a way to say that, hey, it should say boys and girls, right? Because this one's going to come back as just boys. So we're working on, but that doesn't stop you from being able to put boys and girls in the same event. You could even put boys and girls in the same event, and then now you can create flights. You create a boys flight and a girls flight. So we have a lot of new options in version 3, and we're really excited to put them in your guys' hands. So then once I pick my home and away team, I can finalize the event and it'll get created. So I've got my host, I got my visitors, I can go back and look at the course, I've got that, I can edit the details, I've got that, and I can go to the end and I can finish it. I'm not going to create this event because I don't want to clutter your the TAPPS league up with events that aren't really going to happen. So I'm just going to click, I'm going to go back to events here and be able to just take a look at one of these events. Let's look at a past event, right? And so we can go in here to this event, for example. This one was canceled. Well, it might not be a bad idea to go into a canceled event. So, they had the pairings done and everything. So once I go here, and if I have access to edit this event, then I would just simply click on edit event. Okay. And now, and see, before we had these pages over here, these items across the top. It was taking up a lot of space. Now, because most screens are wider, we've moved that over to the left here. So now you will navigate by going to the left. Now, if this is even on a smartphone, and by the way, this is a good experience on a smartphone as well, because it's done in responsive web design. Another major upgrade that we did. This is awesome what this coach did, because hey, it was scheduled, something happened, it got canceled. There's no need to delete this event. Just do what they did. Mark canceled, right? Then people know, that event was canceled. Just information for your viewers. So when you're in here, you got options. All these options. I'm not going to go through all of these, right? So you can almost all the same thing that we did before is now here in version 3. And so if you're familiar with it, you're good to go. But most of it's self-explanatory on how things are working, right? So these are the options for the event. Courses, you can add as many courses as you want. They added Kingwood Country Club here. I can edit that course. I can take a look at it. I can look at the different T's, right? Make sure they're right. And then once I've done that, now watch, this is important. I'm just going to go back to the courses by simply clicking on courses, okay? And then I'm going to move on to the next thing, teams. So now we've got they had all these teams in here because they had the pairing set and everything. They did a wonderful job, right? Maybe it got rained out. So how did they get all these players in here? Well, I'm just going to show you on one team. They just simply click on, there it is again, more options. Oh, what if you need to add another team? There it is again, add team from leagues, right? So always look for the ellipse. And then I click here and I can add golfers. And now you can see that these golfers already in, I could pick more, okay? I'm not going to do that here. I could do that. I could easily import. And then if I needed to change the seeds of these players, I simply click here and I edit seeds. All right, so they're seeded 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. This is good to go. That would be, I could make these changes here, but don't need to, right? So now, how do I get back out of here? Simply click on teams, right? So there's always a way. There's not always a cancel button, but as you navigate, it's a matter of just clicking over here to get back to that where how before you got into the teams, that's where you went, right? And then you can go to members. Now, members was the old people, right? What we call people. Now we call them members. These are members of this event, okay? And that's important to know, right? So we still have our managers. We have our coaches. But by the way, one of the things you're going to notice is that the site is anywhere between 30 and 100 times faster in everything that you do, okay? Your golfers in the event, we still have the iSwoosh, first name, last name. So you got your golfers, you've got, and what team they play for, both the abbreviation and the team name. You got the old scorers. If you wanted to add a scorer, you could do that. And then you got the place to add officials, just like in version 2. Okay, so if I wanted to go back out, I could click on members, or I could click on the next step, which would be rounds, right? By the way, if I wanted to favorite this event right here, I could favorite it, right? Parents can, golfers can, anyone who uses the system can make events, golfers, courses, clubs, leagues, schools, all these can be made as a favorite. Okay, so these are rounds. You can see that this round was closed automatically. It was never scored, which is okay. That's fine, right? So if I want to edit this, now because it's closed, I can only view the round and pairings. If I wanted to edit these rounds and the round and pairings, I would have to open the round first. Okay, that's new. So make sure you do that, right? So now you can see it's grayed out and I can't make any changes, but I can come in and look at it. They had a shotgun start, 18 holes, 5 golfers, count 4 scores, date and time. They're paired by players, so you got all your players in. And to pair these golfers, all they did was click on, there it is again, the ellipse, right? Add a golfer, remove a golfer, all the things that you could imagine that you would need to do for this pairing is right there in that ellipse, right? Add a golfer. To remove a golfer, click the X. That takes them and puts them back in the pool. So if I wanted to move Ryan from here, if I wanted to swap Kyle and Ryan, I would simply I would put Ryan back in the pool. I would put Kyle back in the pool, and then I would add him back in. It's that simple, right? And that's exactly what was done in version 2 as well. So you can see all these golfers are paired up. And so not much to do there, right? So if I go back now, if I click on rounds, it's going to take me up to the rounds step, right, where I could see it. If I had a multi-round event, I would see both rounds here, and I could work both rounds. So now I'm going to go to leaderboards. What's on the same as before? You got the ability to pick a default leaderboard. You can set your tiebreakers. And then down here, a little bit different, the way this is laid out, is you have strokes, Stableford, and skins. Okay, so you could pick, and you could do Stableford if you wanted to, but you'd have to turn it on here and then set your points. Skins is something that is used. I'm not sure if you guys ever use that, but it's there as an option if you want to. Okay, so that takes care of the leaderboard step. Information has changed a little bit, so now you can add multiple event information, right? So now you have the ability to choose who sees this information. Robert gets to a state tournament, he might say, you know what, I think we should probably create 2 different sets of information. One for the fans, spectators, and one for the golfers and coaches. So now he has the ability to do that. That was a request from the Minnesota State High School League. They wanted to have, information, different types of information for different user types. So we have that now. Another one would be rules. So I'm going to go ahead and leave and discard because I don't want to create that for this event. For rules, same thing. I could create a set of rules for the managers, different than what the golfers see. So you have that flexibility and you can use that now. Okay. So now I'm going to go. Now I'm all done. I got my event ready to go. How do I get back to the event home? I simply click on event home. And now I'm back and I'm looking at the leaderboard. Here's where I can switch between team gross and individual gross, right? So that's very much like it was before, right? You could switch between those two. And now you have now another thing that has changed, which is a lot like what you see on if you've ever experienced like a PGA event where you can click on a golfer's name and it expands. And now I'm looking at their scorecard right here, right? That is new. If I wanted to get to Kyle's scorecard, I would click here. It would open up a new tab, and now I would be here. I can see that Braden was supposed to be the scorer for Kyle. That's documented. And if this would have been played out, and Kyle, and the say they got scored all the way through, and Kyle signed his scorecard, which is very important, sign your scorecard, right, as part of the USGA rules, then it would say that it was attested by Kyle down here and the date and time he attested it. Okay, so all that information is there. I'm going to close this tab because it got open to look at that scorecard, and I'm going to collapse it right by doing that. This is available on the mobile app as well. Okay, so that's the leaderboard. Here's the details will be if you do create event information and rules, they're here. Now, one of the things that has changed, I'm going to bring this to your attention. If you want to print scorecards, you have to go to details, rounds, and you click on, there it is again, the ellipse, and you can print. You have all your printables over here. Okay, so remember, if you are printing and putting things on paper, this is how you're going to do it. You got to do that after the pairings are set. If you wanted to see the pairings, you've got the ability to click on pairings now and look at all the pairings that were set. Okay, this one was ready to score. Okay, and then if you have it set, which is recommended by the USGA, to have golfers marking for each other. They don't keep their own score. They keep someone else's score, but they always have access to their score. Always, always, always. A golfer has access to their scorecard, but someone else is keeping it per the USGA rulebook. Okay, so if I wanted to see what the marker assignments were, I click on markers. And now I can see that Liam was the golfer and he was marking for Luca. Okay, or Lucia. I'm not sure how to pronounce the names, but this is maybe an easy one. Tyler is marking for Liam. Okay, so that's, now you have the ability. Now what will happen here, if this event is scored out, then you'll see sign by over here. Let's actually go over, this was actually a Texas high school golf event that was hosting a TAPPS golf a team, right? So let's go back over to an event here so I can kind of show you what an event looks like that is completely scored out. And I'm pretty sure this one, nope, that one wasn't. Let's go back. That one must have got canceled. So let's go to past. And oh, I know this one was, right? So you can see that this is an event that was multiple rounds, right? Let's see, 2 rounds, right? And I think they played this on the same day too. So then I could switch to individual. You can see that now. I can expand this and you can see the scoring, right? So now we have some actual data there. And then I can look at round 1 by itself, and I can look at round 2 by itself. Okay, so these events were scored, and as soon as the rounds were closed, all these scores for all these players and teams was entered into the ranking system. Okay, so that's what will happen when you start running and you start doing your events. So now let's take a look at what happened here. So we got pairings, and I got obviously 2 rounds. I can look at whichever round I want to look at. Okay, and then I've got the ability to go to markers, and you can see that most of these golfers signed their scorecards. Not all of them did, but most. Now we remind on the app, the golfers to sign their scorecard when they're done. Okay, so let's see how they did on this one here on the second round. A little bit better, right? So after the scores are all entered, your golfer is going to see a message says, okay, round is done. You got all your scores in. You should go check your scorecard, and if it's all correct, sign it, right? And if you do, then it's going to look, this is perfect, right? right here, we can see this golfer was marking for Kyle, and who signed it? This golfer, because it was their scorecard, right? Kyle's scorecard is here. Kyle signed it at that time. Okay, that's the markers piece. Scoreboards is like it was before, just better, right? We had little minor bugs in that, and it wouldn't continue to scroll, but nice and clean, right? If I want to get this bugger going, I want to get it scrolling, I just simply come in here and I want to do, I'm going to do all rounds, I'm going to do traditional, and I'm going to do all items, I'm going to say go. And then it's going to start scrolling. So if you want to have this projected to a large screen TV in a clubhouse, you just hook it up and set it in motion, and it'll just scroll all day long, right? And so it'll scroll between, all the different rounds, all the different, the individuals, back to teams, and it'll go grab the latest information as it cycles. So very cool feature. So, and that opens up in a new tab. So now that you've seen that, I'm going to close that and go back over here. That's scoreboards. And then statistics is here to be able to go see, hey, I want to analyze and see how many birdies, which player got the most birdies across these 4 rounds. And since they played 18, we could just switch it to 18. So across the 2 18-hole rounds, 13 birdies by Bowen, right? So Daniel had 10. And I could look at any one of these stats. Who had the best average on par 3s? Okay. All these stats are available to you. Now, one of the things that's changed this year for the golfers is to be able to enter stats, right? If you as a coach said to your golfers, I want you to enter your fairways hit and your putts, because we want to evaluate how you're doing on hitting fairways and on putting and on greens and regulation. The golfer themselves, even though you have a marker, the marker is putting your score in, and they're responsible for that, right? But you, the golfer, can put your stats in. Okay, it wasn't that way before. And so coaches asked, hey, can we just let our kids put their stats in, right? And not bother the marker for doing that. Do it now. So you as a coach can just tell your kids, I want you putting your stats in after each hole. That way you're going to be able, the coach is going to be able to say, I want to know what your greens and regulation are. I want to know how many times you putt the ball. I want to know how many times you hit the fairway. And I want to know your fairway average. All these things are here, and the kids just need to put the information in. Okay? So that takes care of statistics. Now, all that is written to the TAPPS level, right? That's the entity, the TAPPS within the state of Texas. And then it's also available to who? College coaches, everyone across the United States. So the more information the kids put in, the better it's going to be for them to get noticed. Okay, so now let me go back to the leaderboard. And so here I'm looking at the leaderboard. How do I get, now here's where I would favorite it right here. If I want to go back up to TAPPS, since this is a Texas high school golf, it was created in on the public side, on the Texas high school golf side, and a TAPPS school was invited. How do I get back to my TAPPS? I just click here because I made it a favorite, and I can pop over to TAPPS right here. Okay, I jump right back in. So that's that favorite feature. All right, so let's see, what time is it? It is 11:36. Robert, do we have any great questions out there?
So let me do this, Doyle, because we do this every time. If I log on to my account and I got something similar to what you showed earlier, events, golfers, rankings for the whole league, for all of TAPPS League. If I'm a new coach, though, because we have a lot of new coaches every year, if I'm navigating through the app and I have a question, obviously they can reach out to you guys, email, phone. Y'all do a great job of support, but take them to where they can, there you are, the videos and the tutorials. Just walk them through that a little bit and show them where they can find answers to some of those things.
Yes. So what I recommend is that every coach read this document right here, because this explains in a real short amount of time. You can read this in a matter of minutes on how we are built, right? And also all the schools, all the different apps that are using us, including college. And then you got your top 10. So what you want to do is make sure that you just read this, right? And what this tells you, the first thing is to go get the app. What mobile golf app? Well, you look up here and you say, well, looks like right here it is, TAPPS Golf. So I go to the App Store, get TAPPS Golf. Okay, that's step one. Step two, log into the I Want to Make Our website. Okay, I can do that. And if you start by getting the app, and you will get registered for your team by getting the app, brand new coach, right? It's going to, and even existing coaches we look and we say, oh, you were a coach at that school in that league. So we automatically land you on your school's homepage because we know that information. You can still navigate elsewhere, but that's how that works. But for a new coach, they're going to get the app, they're going to log into I Want to Maker, and they're going to find themselves right on their school's homepage and ready to click the create event button or to manage their roster. That's one thing I didn't touch on. So let me go into I'm going to go to TAPPS. So I'm going to jump in because I'm a site administrator. I have to navigate a little different way than you would. So I would go here, and then I would go to schools, and I would go to Abilene Christian, and I would go to rosters. This is where I manage my roster, okay? So you would actually be right here when you log in. And all you got to do is click on rosters, and now you can manage your roster. Okay, so how would you have known that? Well, if you read this document, it tells you that, well, the next thing you want to do is watch the videos, right? So that is open right here. I open up the videos by simply clicking on the help right here. And now I can watch. We recommend watch these first 4 or 5 videos. I would, if you do that, you're going to know almost everything you need to know about I Want to Maker and the app, right? So after you, watch the videos, now you're going to create your events. And in your first team meeting, you're going to tell all your golfers, go get the TAPPS Golf app. That's how it all starts. That's how we experience the season. So go get the app. And right in front of your eyes, your roster is going to get created without you having to enter anything. So you just sit on this page and just keep hitting refresh, and you're going to start to see your golfers show up. If I'm the girls coach, I would simply go over to the girls side and just sit and just watch your roster get populated. Okay, so that's the recommended way. Now, if you feel like you really want to enter it in by hand manually, you can add a golfer here. You can add a member. But keep in mind, you better spell it exactly the way the golfer is going to spell it because they're going to have to match up with that at some point and get this eye swoosh, right? Okay, next step. You got your team meeting. You tell your golfers to get the app. Your roster gets populated. Now you can go back to your events and start bringing golfers into the event. Seed them up, pair them, and it gets scored. The next thing you're going to want to do is let's get the public involved. Let's get moms, dads, grandmas, grandpas, aunts, uncles. Let's get everyone excited about this, right? So now you get them going, and now you've got a full-up event. You got lots of excitement. Scores start flowing, and people are having real fun, right? Because now we have a scoreboard. We have brought a scoreboard to the game of golf, and who wouldn't love that, right? To have that recognition as a player out there to see if your team is in the lead, not in the lead, to see how you're doing. Are you in the top 25 as an individual, or are you in the top 10? All that fun stuff, right? So that is so the event gets set up. You got the live scoring going. You validate the scores at the end, and you close the round. We got some good documents down here as well that will link you back to these documents, right? So everything is all tied together, and so that would be the prescribed things that you should do is start off and come in and read the golf coach's introduction, and without even having an account. Right, I can sign out here, right? And I'm not quite sure how this works yet. I just want to read. Well, come to iwantamaker.com, point to your browser to here, click on help, click on this document, and boom, you are right here, and you can start reading about how it all works.
Great, Doyle. Hey, a couple question here. I'll read it, and maybe you'll understand what I'm talking about. One of our listeners says, on my phone, when I press the 3 lines on the left, all it pulls up is TAPPS in my school. I don't see any of the things you see on the computer.
Where are they? I got to know, are they on an event? Are they on roster?
we'll see if he or she can respond and give us a little bit more information. While
We
we're
just need to
doing
know
that,
where
yeah,
they are. So
yeah.
so
While
now, and I might see more than they see,
yes,
right? Because it's because I'm a site administrator.
yeah. Um,
So it
while
may have been.
while we're waiting on that, here's another one. You mentioned the ability to have boys and girls in the same tournament. How does that work?
Okay, so let's go into this one right here. I'm not going to add, but oh, good. So they haven't set this up yet, 100%. So I'm going to edit this event, and it's tagged as a boys event. Let's say I need to add some girls teams to it. So I would just simply go to the team step, right? Makes sense. Just go to teams, and I would click here, add team from leagues. And let's look at here. Let's say this is let's add the Hyde Park High School girls team. Okay, so I would click on add team from leagues, and I'm going to choose girls, right? And now I can roll down and I can find Hyde Park, right? Let's get down to the HI, and I there we go, right there. So I would simply do this, and I would click import. And now we've got the Hyde Park girls team in here. Okay, so we've got this is one of these is the boys and one's the girls. We'll probably make that easier, but all you have to do is click here to know. Okay, this is the boys team, right? So the one below it is the girls team. So now if I go here, I would add golfers, and there's your girls team. Okay, so that's how I would manage that. So that's how you do it. So what they did is they had also you can do multiple teams from the same school, and that they did by going right here, add additional team from the same school. So they've got a boys team number 1 and a boys team number 2. Now that I've got a boys and a girls team in here, and I could add more, right? I might want to create some flights. Right? Why not explore that and say, we need to have a boys and a girls team flight, right? So we can have, and when you create flights, you're basically creating additional leaderboards. So if I wanted to have, and I can allow this, right? So I can add a flight here, and now I'm going to say it's a team flight, and I could name this as the boys, right? And then I can just click away and it saves it. I can add another flight, and I could say we need a team and we need to have a girls team flight. Whoops. So once I get that in, now I then could put teams in here. So now I could add the boys teams to this one. I could add the girls teams to this one. And now I've just created a boys team flight and a girls team flight. I also have everyone, right? All teams, right? I can turn that off on the leaderboard step. So if I wanted to put boys and girls in the same event, now you might want to think about whether you do or do not want to do this, because it doesn't cost you anything to create an event, not anything, right? So you might want to say, you know what, I'm fine with creating a girls event separate from a boys event. You're not going to save that much time, but we give you the ability to do it. So if you do it this way, I highly recommend that you come into leaderboards. Let's go ahead and save this. I can delete these flights later. So if I go to leaderboards now, I'm going to definitely want to turn on the boys flight, the girls flight, the boys flight, but I don't want to show boys against girls. Maybe you do. It's up to you, right? But I'm going to turn off the full. Now I will have a boys flight leaderboard and a girls flight team leaderboard, as well as individual, if I go create the individual ones as well. Okay, so you can see that you have to understand the reason we introduce flights, and it can be used in a lot of different ways, is because coaches in Ohio said, we have a tournament where we've got, teams from 3 different conferences competing in the same tournament. And we'd like to have a leaderboard for Conference A, Conference B, and Conference C. So they turn on flights, they create those 3 flights, they put the right teams into those flights, and now they've got a full leaderboard, all the teams, but someone can say, hey, I want to know how we're doing against the teams in our conference. You click on the conference leaderboard, and boom, there it is. That was the main and most obvious reason to use flights. But coaches, you coaches are so creative, and I see many times doing things that I never even thought of. And hey, more power to it if you want to do it that way. But that's a lot about flights, and that is a new feature in this version. So use that as if you feel like it's going to help you right with your event.
All right, Doyle, that's great. Hey, back to our other question. We got a response. I'll try to interpret it as best I can. The viewer says they're on their phone. They press the 3 lines. On the left, it pulls up TAPPS in their school. I think they've gone into their school in their own event. They're on the events tab, but they can't find roster.
Oh, so they're on their school, and to go to it's not an ellipse. It's the menu. You got to touch the menu over here. So let me do this here. So if I take this, let me see if I can make this. I'm going to make this narrower, right? I'm going to go so narrow that my menu goes away. It's there. It kind of looks like a smartphone now, right? So if I go back up, let me go to just TAPPS, right? So we'll work our way in this way. So if I'm on my phone, and this is kind of what it's going to look like, right? So, okay, so I figured this much out. I went to schools. I go to Abilene Christian, and it's like, oh, how do I get to rosters? Oh, right here. Boom. You click on this. You click on rosters. And here they are. Now you can choose boys or girls, right? So your menu, because if we showed the menu, it would take up so much of the screen here, right? So you can't even make it stick because it'd be way over here. You wouldn't see much. So if you go so narrow as you would in a smartphone, this is what you're going to see. Now your smartphone might not be that tall, but right here, right? So it's going to be something like that, right? So this is responsive web design. And so with responsive web design, you're going to find items in the menu, and you're going to have to click on that to be able to see things, okay? To be able to, it's your navigation tool, right, to get around. So I hope that answered that question. I think that's what was going on, is they weren't seeing the rosters, and now this is how you can expose it.
No, that's great. And obviously, anybody can always reach out to you guys at support. If they don't see it on the help or the tutorial, they can email you guys at support, or they can give you a call. And of all the partners we have at TAPPS, I'll tell you that Doyle, your group gets accolades from everybody with your responsiveness, with your help walking through this. I always want to reiterate that to you personally, because this is a great tool for our schools, and it's easy to use. And if they have questions, don't understand it, or having trouble with anything, you and your team are always responsive and very helpful in helping us walk through that. So I want to say thank you for that. I don't think we have any more questions at this point, Doyle. For our listeners, next week on the 6th, we've got emails coming out in the next day or so. We are hosting webinars for all of our hosts that are hosting a district or a regional spring sport. That's our track, golf, tennis. If you're a host for your district or regional tournaments in any of those, we'll have information on that next week. So for our golf coaches on here and administrators, if you're hosting one of those events, be sure to jump on those next week. Doyle, any closing comments for our viewers before we close out the webinar?
I guess I just want to thank them, Robert, because I built this under the notion that we are a team. I'm a team with Robert's team. We team up to make sure that the postseason is great, right? And then if you back into the regular season, how do we make that great? We team with your coaches. We team with your athletic directors, and we even answer questions from the golfers. So, and if a parent has questions, we help them. So it's all about, it's a team effort. We are all in this together. So we will be successful if we all work together. And that's what's been happening. And I appreciate, Robert, you saying that the accolades that we got, because we take a lot of pride in being different than other software companies. We pick up the phone. And that's not, as we all know, the hours that we've spent on the phone when we try to call someone that has a software company, we did not take that approach. You call us, we fix the problem, and we continue to listen to you to make the product better. So, Robert, thank you, the TAPPS Association, and thank the schools, the member schools, your member schools, for helping all of us make this super successful.
All right. Thank you, Doyle. Appreciate it as always. And with that, we'll close our webinar. John, you want to close it out for us?
Thank you, Robert. Thank you, Doyle. Okay, folks, this recording will be made available later this afternoon. It's going to be hosted on our YouTube page. That's youtube.com/TAPPSBiz. You'll be able to easily review this or send it to anybody on your campus who needs this information. You're going to get an email to the same email address you used to register for today's webinar. It's going to have a link to that. We're also going to have the link on the TAPPS Golf page. And if you can't find it or if you need any help, please send us an email, info@tapps.biz. With that, folks, please enjoy the rest of your day.